Hello, fellow map makers. Welcome to another live map making session. Season's greetings from Germany here, and hope you are all doing fine in the run up to Christmas. I'm happy to do the last mapping session for the year. Not that I dislike doing them, but it's good to wrap up another year. Thank you, Sue. Sound seems to be fine. And we are doing a little season-appropriate mapping theme with the Winter Village and hopefully some Christmas tree lights. See how that goes. Hello everybody there in the chat. Hi Vivian. Hi Jeffrey. First time here. Yeah, it's great to see. Hi Bill. Hi everyone over there. Kevin. Wonderful to see you everybody. And hi to Quentin as well. Good, so I'm Ralph Schemann, by the way, for those who don't know me yet, from Fantasy Software, and I'm doing a presentation of our mapping software, Campaign Cartographer, and I'm just showing off a few of the things that can be done with the various styles and tools, and hopefully just do some interesting mapping for an hour. If you have any questions during the session, please post them in the chat. I'll be happy to explain stuff in more detail if questions arise. There's a lot of knowledgeable people in the chat who are happy to help out. And if you're watching this after the live show, you can always head over to our forum and post questions in the thread on the video there. And we'll be happy to help out. So what I'm looking at tonight, I'm looking at an annual style by our favorite style producer, Sue Daniel, the Winter Village style that she created in 2022. And it's always been a favorite around this time of year. And so we're going to take a look at what we can do with that. First off, I'm going to head over here into my drawing area. That's the example map that comes with the style. And we're going to start fresh with a new map. Yes, Sue, it was that long ago, already 3 years ago that this style was done. It's amazing how the time is speeding along, isn't it? All right, so I'm not going to save any. Oh, let's start slowly again. I just want to explain that for everybody. To start a new map, I'm clicking the new map button up here on the file toolbar. I'm not going to save my changes to the map. And then I'm going to pick the map type. And the one I'm looking for is under the map type cities. And then here right at the very bottom is the Winter Village style. I'm just pick the non-metric version, click next. And then I'm going to put in a little, the size in feet for my map. I just want to do a small map, basically a village square. And a few years ago is like 2005. Yes, like 20 years ago, 20 is a few. Okay. Also, I've got put in the dimensions for the map, and then I'm just gonna click finish here and save the map. So let's call it Christmas postcard. And here's our blank map with a nice snow background to start off. The style doesn't have a huge variety of different symbol catalogs. Everything you need is in the one catalog. If you right click on the catalog here on the left, it shows all the symbols, or all the symbol collections actually. Everything that has a little C in here is actually a collection. If you want to see all the symbol, you can right click the options button and check the expand all collections. And then with a little wait, because it caches all the symbols, you'll see all the whole selection of different symbols available in the map. I'm gonna collapse the collections again because that enables random selection from a group of symbols, and we want that for the trees in a little while. Okay, so first off, I want to create a little village square. So I'm gonna put some buildings around the central space. And for that, I'm just gonna put a house, or pick a house. I can cycle through the different symbols in a collection by hitting the tab key until I've got something that I like. So let's start with the largest house on the square, probably an inn or something like that. Let's give it a bit of an angle and put it here on the side of the map. And as you see, the roof shadows get fixed to the light direction that is set in the map. And we've got to put another house here on this side. And then we're going to go a little bit smaller, one here. Grab a house here, one here, and a smaller one next to that. And there we've got my little village square framed by a few buildings. As you can see, the symbols extend a bit beyond the map border here. I've not cared about that because I want to, I'm going to export that and cut that off anyway. But if you don't want to see that on screen, you can always do the color command. It's typing that color, and that will no. There we go. I don't know what I did there first. And then I'm just going to right click to accept the defaults for the options, and then it will block all that out with white. There we go. So next up, I want to put in some paths where people use roads. So I'm gonna right click my road button up here, grab a muddy, do I want snowy streets or muddy streets? I'm gonna go for some frozen mud here. Quite a few people walked through that. So I'm gonna grab the 10-foot street, and then I'm just gonna put in a road here. Same this direction, and another one coming from here. And if I do a refresh of the screen, you can see that this automatically creates a very nice sunken effect, like the path has been trampled into the snow. And that's an excellent sheet effects designed by Sue, and I really love how this works. All right, so but one thing I don't have is a tool to do a whole square like this, a market square, larger area that has been cleared of snow. So let's create something like that. I'm gonna go into here, and I'm gonna use the default road tool, click new, and gonna call it a area, because I don't want a street of a certain width. Instead I want a wide area, and to do that I'm gonna put the width to 0, but then I'm gonna close the whole thing, and that way I get a whole polygon with the texture fill. And if I use this, I can then go in here and draw a space, and there's my whole village square filled in with the frozen mud texture. Excellent, there we are. And I do want to add a few smaller paths and paths from the buildings to the street. So I'm gonna grab this and just gonna do a few short sections here, which would be leading to the entrances of the houses, and then some narrow 5 feet pieces, probably something going down this little lane here, something going here along the house, along here. Then I do have another little lane down this way, and just a little branch here to there. That looks nice. I'm thinking I do want a few more bits and pieces. Some here, path here. Yeah, oh, that looks fine. And there, with just some symbols and some drawing tools, we already have a nicely detailed looking village map, very quick and easy to use. Then now we do want a little bit of scenery around this whole area, so I'm thinking there's probably a pond here somewhere, so I'm gonna go for some water area. Let's have a look here. We've got some dark smooth ice. So it's frozen over, and I'm going to put in a bit of the edge of a pond here in the lower right corner. I'm just drawing across the map border. That way the sheet effects nicely vanish behind the border. And there's my frozen village pond. And then we do have some hedges or walls, so some field walls would be nice. These are connecting symbols, so that's you have to be careful with those have to be different ones to work in a parallel metric version. You can't use the same symbol for both. So this is the feet version here, and that's the metric version. So we're going to pick the feet, and then I'm just going to draw a bit of a wall here. We go, then perhaps something here, and then a little bit of a hedge along this way here. All right. That looks pretty nice. And now for some trees. Let's grab some deciduous trees, bare and frosty here first. Put something on the edge of the village pond. Another one here. One here. And one here in this corner. This looks pretty good. And then we do need a large Christmas tree in the center. So I'm going to grab this one here. See whether we already have a larger one in here. That was pretty much the largest I grabbed from the start. And I can, of course, by holding the controller and moving the mouse, make it a little bit larger. You don't want to make it too large, then the scale becomes too obviously different. But a little bit larger is fine. Go. And set back to normal, and perhaps add a couple other trees in different places. So that's nice and looking good. And the only thing is it's a wintry scene. Looks like a nice winter's day, but it doesn't feel very seasons like, because obviously we need lights and decorations and stuff. So we want to do some lights in this map, do an evening or night scene, and highlight stuff through lights. Normally, lights often used on dungeon maps to illustrate darkness, darkened areas and stuff. But you can obviously also do them on village maps and city maps, and they, in my opinion, look very nice on those. So we're going to take a look here at how to do this on our Christmas map. So for that we are gonna need to do a little bit of setup first, because the map style is not set up to be used with the lights out of the box. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put in a sheet that I call lights, where I'm gonna place my light features, my light entities. And then I do need a effect on actually I might want to put some symbols on the sheet that go above the lights on all the other symbols. So I'm going to also put in a sheet called symbols lights later in the map, and this gonna get my end point, my end light sheet effect, which tells the campaign character for drawing that they shouldn't do any light and shadow effects after this. Basically, it allows to say from here on, like stuff like map border and so is not affected by lights. And I'm going to give this the whole shadow colors a little bit of a bluish feel, and make the shadow color ambient light. There we go. And if I turn on the map, you can also see Campaign puts on a light effect on this, or a shadow effect. This is handled through the global sun effect. If you want to edit this, you can go into global sun. And here you can set lighting for the map and put on things like how shadows should be blurred and things. Global sun is also handled through this dialog. We're going to not apply this here. Sorry. And we are going to work with this sheet effect. It looks pretty good. Now let's see how we can lighten the whole thing up. So first off, I want to put on some white lights on the central tree and show how that looks. So I'm going to go back to my lights sheet. I'm also going to add, we already have a layer called lights. Then we're going to make this white color, and then I'm gonna go in to the dungeon dialog, because that has the features for the lights. So I'm gonna load the dungeon dialog by clicking the DD3 button, and here is under the dungeon menu is the lights option. So I'm gonna just add a light to start, and I'm gonna add it in the center of the tree. And I'm going to make it fairly large because I just want to lighten the central area. Go all the way up to here. Going to right click at this point to make the light go all around within 60 degrees. And here I set the intensity of the light. Let's try an 80 intensity to start. And I'm going to make the light varicolor. That makes it easier to later change the colors of lights, because you can just change the color of the light entity. And then I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna try refresh, and there you can already see we've got nice light effect around the tree. I'm not gonna go into having the buildings cast proper shadows and anything. That's not, it's beyond what I want to do for this map. I just want to do some lightening stuff like this, which I think would lies enough. Alright, so much for that. And now I do want to put in some individual lights on the tree. Let's zoom in a bit and just make it appear like there's some candles or things that are lighting this up. And that we can just overlay lights over each other. Now I'm gonna go for a little bit of a yellowish light on these. And then I'm gonna do add the light again, add light. I'm just gonna start with one, and I'm not gonna make these as large. Also 360 degrees, but I'm gonna give them a bit of a stronger intensity. Let's try 100 intensity, fresh. There we go. And now I'm gonna copy that and add a few more lights here, overlapping each other. And give the whole thing a nice overall glow. Let's have a look, zoom out. I like that. That looks pretty good. We could also sprinkle in a little bit of other colors, so it might be different colored lights in the tree. And we can also do that by changing the colors. Oh, actually, did I do what I wanted to do and do them as varicolors? So let's have a look. And I'm going to freeze all the other layers. Freeze all. Change color. I'm going to grab one of these lights here and make that purple. No, the thing I wanted to do and change the colors by just changing the light entities is what I skipped on the second add-on. But no matter, we can always go in there and have a look and edit the lights themselves. So what we can do is we should show the lights, show light symbols. That just gives you, okay, no, I can't see them. Okay, this, they might be too small. This game. No, I'm a bit confused why I'm not seeing the lights at this scale. I can see them a bit here. It's probably it's the symbol covering them up. So let's hide the vegetation layer for the moment. No, it's not on the vegetation layer. See where the tree is on. It's on the layer roads. So let's move it to the layer vegetation. It's going to make it easier. And I do need to unfreeze the layer for that. Vegetation. There we go. And here are my symbols. So I'm going to use the edit modifier, and that brings up. And now I can make these symbols varicolor. And if I do a refresh here, you should now see that this color is getting the purple from the light entities color. Just make them all varicolor. I do have them all now. That was the first one. That was varicolor anyway. Yeah, looking good. And now I can change the colors a little bit, like this one. Let's make that a little greenish. And this one orangey. And this one perhaps a little bit red. And yeah, question from Hunter, can you do them all at once? Unfortunately, you can't do that with the symbol edit, with the lights editing. You have to do those one by one. There's no way to multi-edit at least not one I am aware of. So that's a bit of a downside there. But worked well enough, and we do have a little bit of different colors in there now. So what I want to do on the symbol lights now is I want to add a few light points in a different way. So I'm going to go on symbols lights here, and I'm going to do white. What I want to do here is basically put in a just little circles. Actually, I should probably hide the tree again so I can put them on the light symbols here. So drag. There we go. And what I want to do is I'm just want to add some effects here. I'm going to add a glow, a white one with 2 feet. See how that looks. And but also a transparency effect 50, and these effects should be before the all the way around. I can never remember whether you should do transparency first and then the glow. All the way around, I think. No. Well, doesn't matter that much. I'm gonna leave it at that, and just gonna show the. Oh no, I don't want to copy them first. Put them on the lights, just to put in some highlights on the tree. No. I'm going to go in the layers again. There we go. Symbols. And I wanted to hide the light symbols, though I don't really need that at this point. The tree hides them anyway, so I'm gonna. Oh, they appear because their size is independent of the or depends on the zooming. You can always see them. Oh yeah, good point there. I should have changed the. Thank you, Quentin mentioned that I didn't change the effect size here to map units. That what I should have done. I wanted it to do. There we go. So we've got some bright, shiny lights there in the tree. So that's very nice for the tree, but I do want to have some more lights around. Obviously, we'll have lights shining from the windows of the different the buildings around, and I do want to add a bit of that. So how we're going to do that? We'll use lights that shine only in a certain direction. So for those, I'm going to definitely go for a more yellowish color to offset it from the Christmas tree colors. And then I'm going to have a look here and do again some lights, add light. And for example here, if we've got the door in this underneath this dormer here, point in there, go straight out from that, and then just do 180 degrees size for the light, and say 75%. Again, this time I'm going to remember to make it to varicolor. And there's the light shining from the front of the building there. So we can do the same from here. Bit of overlap. Make it not quite as strong perhaps. There we go. And one here. No, well, that was the wrong direction. Cancel that. I need to go straight out in the direction I want to go. Then I do want a light up here. Oh, this time I forgot the varicolor again, but I don't think it's going to be too bad on that one light. I'm just going to go back in and change that again. There we go. Light here in front of that house. Let's make that a bit stronger again. See how you're getting the light from the shining from the windows there. And another one here. And there you've got a nice scene of the village square being shown on from the houses illuminating the square. I quite like that. All right, so, and we might perhaps add a few more sides. I don't want to spoil the effect too much, so I'm not going to add that many other light sources, but I might add a few just to give a little bit of variety to the other areas of the map. So I'm going to go to the lights again, light, light, add light. Let's do a little one here. Small one here. I should point it in the right direction though. There we go. And perhaps one down here. Refresh, and there you can see a few other lights not pointing towards the center of the village. Let's put one here. That's nice. And then finally I can add a little bit of ambient light, of basically softer colors, that just gives some variation on the view around the buildings. So I'm gonna go for something a little bit bluish here. Oh, it's already pretty blue, so let's take something purple down here. Symbols. Now dungeons, lights, add light. Go here outside the map. I'll just illuminate the pond area a bit. Light is varicolor, and you give that a lower intensity, like just 20. And you're going to just barely see that there's gives a little bit of extra coloring to that area. Same here, something in the garden here a little bit. It's going to do 360 degrees, and although I wanted to change the color for that actually, so let's do 25. And let's change color prior and make that a little bit greenish. There we go. That's how I like it. And there's my lighting on the map. I quite like that. Nice strong lights in the center, and then slowly weakening lights to the outside of the map. That's love that. So next step, I'm just want to do a little bit of border decoration, and I'm just going to do that very simply by adding some compass roses outside the outside area of the map, so just we get a little frosty border decoration here. But I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, 75. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of modification on the compass rose symbol here. And I'm going to go in options, and I'm going to add a random transformation for this case. Or what I actually should do, I shouldn't do this on the standard compass rose. I'm going to do a clone of that symbol. I'm gonna deco. I'm gonna scale that down a bit to like 2/3 of the symbol, and I'm not gonna put it on text. Instead, I'm gonna do it on symbols, and I'm gonna random transform this by up to 360 degrees, so a totally random angle for the symbol, and a little bit of scale variation is fine as well, I think, so 0.8 to 1.2. Okay, so I don't want it on the symbols lights, but I do want it above everything else, so I'm gonna add a new symbols deco sheet, put it on there. Gonna put it on the frame here, and then I'm just gonna click. Oh no, that's the wrong symbol because I'm picking it from the symbol catalog. Turn on sheet effects again, and I need to pick it from the internal symbols because I created a new one. But why doesn't it show it up? Doesn't it show up a symbol manager? Did I misclick something? Let's try again. Rose deco. No, it's already defined. Sometimes the symbols just won't show up by default. The thing to do in that case is to close down your campaign cartographer and reopen the map. So I'm going to do that. Quick peek at my desktop there. Here we go. But no, the symbol does not show up. That's weird. Let's try again. Rose deco. No. Symbol manager. Pick the compass rose. Clone. Rose. Let's call it, just in case, border deco. There we go. Options. Symbols deco. What's the sheet I? Okay, and then the random transformations again. Rotate 360 degrees. Scale 0.82.2. Perhaps I put in a wrong thing in there somewhere. Let's have a save the map, and there it is. This time it seems to have worked. Yeah, it's random transforming as well. What I didn't do is I didn't scale it, so I'm gonna redo that. Scale 0.67. There we go. Alright, and then I'm just gonna do this just like some frosting around the edges of a glass window. I think that's a nice and easy effect for a Christmas card. Although I don't think I need a little bit, went a bit too far outside here on this side. We do need a little bit more there. There we go. And there we've got some nice little frosted effect on it with this just very simple method, misusing a symbol that was meant for something else. Right, and see, when I open up the map like this and the symbols are showing, what you can always do is go back into your dungeons, dungeon, lights, hide light symbols. That will hide all the symbols there. And then we can put in some greetings. And so let's put in some text. Oh, actually, we should go on the proper layers and color. Let's grab text title. There we go. Season's greetings. Exactly. There, if I could type, it would be much better. Here we go. Let's put it here at the bottom. Let's see whether the sheet effects work. Not quite happy with that like that is. We could make that a little bit smaller perhaps. The outer glow. And do that just 1.5. Yeah, I like that better. And there we are. I can increase the color to hide more of the compass rose symbols I've misused there. And that's my little Christmas map, or Christmas postcard I've created in the mapping session. And I think I'll call it a mapping session then, because I would have, it's 45 minutes in, and I can't think of anything at the moment that I could sensibly add in that time. Pretty happy with what I've created here. Might even use it for the Christmas card myself. And that's all I wanted to show you. So I'm happy to call it a day a little bit early today. So Sue reminds me that I wanted to mention that the bonus issue for the Cartographer's Annual is out. I assume you've all seen that email and blog posting. If not, check it out. The last annual issue for the years out. We've added the random dungeon function to the hand-drawn dungeon style that I've created for this year's annual issue. And if you are not subscribed to the Cartographer's Annual, you can now grab the January issue, the first month of this year, as a freebie download, and check out that overland style, all without subscribing to any of the annuals. So thank you very much, and hope you have a wonderful season and a good transition into the next year. This was the last video session for the year, but I'll be back next year, and hopefully you too. And see you there. Have a good time. All the best to you. Bye bye.